Hey ENV, welcome to the Community Update. My name is Tara. I'm the Operations Manager here at church. I'm also a community leader, and I also just go here. I love this church. I've been coming here since 2006 when I first got saved. I don't know about you, but when I first started coming to church, I was a little nervous. I'd had some bad church experiences, some awkward church experiences. Right when I first got saved, I went to a church and cried the whole service alone in a corner on a pew, and no one spoke to me. Probably because I looked a little crazy. But for me, a big part of church is not just coming to find a place to hear about God. I can do that from my home, as we all are now. I can do that at almost any church. But for me, it's about finding a community and a people that I can also belong to. And I really believe that that is something that's true in the Bible, and that's something that is really true about us as a church. And sometimes that looks like it's easy. Sometimes it is easy to be engaged at church and to have relationships. And then other times your friends have moved away, or there aren't people your age, or right now you can't see each other. We can't even say hi at church. And it means there's this other side of things where you go, what does it look like to engage in community when we can't actually be community? What does it look like to engage in community when it isn't easy? And does it even matter? Is this something to worry about? Is this something to work on? And in our small group, in my D group, we have been looking through Acts. And as one of the girls pointed out, man, in the first 4 chapters, they mentioned this idea many times. She's like, that probably means it's worth noting. And yes, Brittany, that is what that means. So I wanted to read this to you because I don't think that being a community is just a good idea or a nice thing. I think it's actually part of how people know Jesus. So at the end of Acts chapter 2, at 42, it says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. And awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. All who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all, as any had need. And day by day, attending the temple together and breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. Oh, I love that. When I hear those words, I just feel so many feelings, so many thoughts just start going in my head. First of all, they were praising God and having favor with all the people. When I first read that, I thought, like all the people within their church, like all the other Christians. But no, all the people. So even outside of their homes, even outside of the temple, people noticed. They were gaining favor with people, not just in their church. And it struck me that when we are closely tied together, when we have real community and real friendships, that says something to the church or to the people outside of our church, to the world around us. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. It didn't say they worked really hard, they did all these things. It says they were together. They praised God. They did the things that He put on their hearts. They followed the things that He had asked them to do. And day by day, the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved. And I felt like there was such an invitation that in this time of social distancing, of quarantine, of being not together, that there is an invitation to still be the church, to still be a unified church that cares and enjoys each other. And so we have a lot of ways that we do that. We have D groups, we have DG leaders meetings and transformations, and we have your community gatherings. I know Pastor Matt is going to be having us have some of those in May, figuring that out online. But we also know that there are more ways that this needs to happen because we are missing that in-person touch on Sundays. And so one of the ways that we've tried to meet this is through our daily prayer stories. So we've been doing this for the past 6 weeks, I believe, possibly 7. I did not check that number before this, but we've been posting every day. There wasn't an email out to you. We've been posting on our social media stories different things that we wanted you to be joining us in praying for, and different then testimonies or stories that came out of that. So if we were praying for healthcare workers, we had the faces of our healthcare workers in our church. If we were praying for people who were working remotely and trying to have focus, then we had faces of people working remotely. And when we prayed about the goodness of God, we heard stories of how God has stepped in and done things in people's lives. And so that was wonderful. We really felt like we needed something as this was all starting to stay connected. But it was a lot of work. I partnered with Sam and Bea on that. We had ENV staff helping. It was just a ton. We had a great time doing it, but it isn't something we could do sustainably. And so we wanted to think, what does this next season look like? What stories do we want to tell? And how do we tell more of your stories? So we decided to do something new. It's going to be called Community Stories, and that's going to be starting this Monday. It's going to be on our Insta stories, Facebook stories, and each Sunday before the service during the countdown, they will also be shown there at the end of the week so that if you miss them, if you don't have social media, you still get to see what's happening. But we want to hear from our different communities. So we're going to have a little intro video from one of the leaders, and then we're going to get stories from the people in that community. We're going to get stories of how God's moving. We're going to hear stories of just who they are, who's in each community, and what can we be praying for, what's on their hearts. And so we invite you to be looking for that. We're excited to have you participate when we get to your community. We're just excited to continue to find ways that draw us together in this strange time, because while we aren't together, we are together. I just keep being so reminded as I'm in Zoom calls, as I'm in staff meetings, I can't shake that the presence of God is there even though we aren't physically together. And we are I'm just so thankful that it can still feel that way even with the distance. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you on Sunday. We have a great message coming up for you. Pastor Jonathan has been working on it this week, and as I heard him sharing his heart, I was so excited for all that God really wants to impress upon us.